Well, we're here with the Enterprise Marketer Podcast at Content Marketing World on day like -1 or 0.
-1 day, .5.
Yeah, but it's the workshop day, and so there's so many people in there just getting some of the amazing advice for multiple hours. But I have the luxury of sitting down with Rebecca Lieb, who is a pioneer in the content marketing space and has some amazing stories to tell. So I'm super excited to be able to interview you and have my own private workshop with you
Well,
today.
it's my honor and pleasure, Jeff. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, so could you give us a little bit of background about kind of how you got started in digital and kind of what that journey's been like over the years?
Yeah, well, going back to the Neolithic age, my Twitter bio is all media all the time, and that's not an exaggeration. I've never had a role or been in a professional role that wasn't in media. Mm-hmm. So I started my career doing marketing for feature films.
Oh, wow.
I've also spent a lot of time being a journalist covering media, and before digital media, I was a variety bureau chief writing about film and, writing for publications like the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal about the film and television industry. Then I moved into global television marketing, and one of the properties in our portfolio at the time, I was head of global marketing at Universal Studios, or Universal Television, was the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, cool.
And I was fascinated with digital in the mid-90s, but there wasn't a whole lot happening. There weren't a lot of career opportunities. And I was fortunate to land at a television network or cable channel where we really did have that early adopter audience. They were online with their dial-up modems. They were consuming whatever programming we could offer online. And I was actually helping to craft some of the first advertising options in digital marketing that there were for our fan base.
Wow.
And it's almost like full circle coming here with Mark Hamill keynoting Content Marketing World, because, with him and his ilk is kind of how I began my career. So that was my last job in television. I went fully digital after that role and never looked back.
Oh, wow. So you were at ClickZ after that too for a while, right?
Yeah, very shortly thereafter, I took over editorial management of the ClickZ network. I also ran Search Engine Watch for a time.
Oh, wow.
So I've been in the digital trenches pretty much since the beginning. Before I was a content marketing expert, I initially had a lot of expertise in email. I've written a book on search. I've also written a book on content marketing. But I've certainly seen this industry evolve and grow up. I mean, I remember, when we're persuading friends, really, you should get online. And once, honestly, you need an email address. Why don't you sign up for
those
one?
days. My first email address was jjulian@hclib.mo.us. And people were like, what is that and why is it so complicated? It's like, you've never seen email?
I didn't even know that my first email address was an email address. It was when I was with Variety and I was a foreign correspondent. I was based in Germany, and we used MCI mail, which I didn't call it. I just called it MCI, to file our stories by modem. That's what I called email in those days. I'll send it to you by modem. And the New York Bureau only had one person who was online. His name was Sylvester, and his job was to get all the copy from all the foreign correspondents, print it out, and give it to your editor.
So he would take the email, print it, and bring it over.
Yeah. So things were that evolved. This was early 90s, that your editor didn't have connectivity.
Yeah, but now everything's instant, and there's so much new devices, and it's an exciting time because we had a period of a slump. It felt like there was just not a lot of innovation, and devices, but from a content and a marketing perspective, things are very repetitive.
Yeah, it's funny. I was seeing a relative just about a week ago in Chicago, and I gave her an old laptop of mine, and she never learned to use it. But you should see her with a cell phone. And I asked her about it. She said, it's all about voice commands. It's all about touch screen. This is my interface. So yeah, we've made things more accessible for ways in which people prefer to use devices. I think I'm fluent in all the devices, maybe, but everybody else not so much.
We've seen it with our kids.
So form factor, UX.
Yeah, our kids, like, because you'll see like they'll have you write out math problems and instantly they give you a calculator and like with search, like I'll say, learn to spell the word, and all of a sudden they'll just go, Alexa, search this, and it's like, and you're seeing this change in the way people are interacting with the devices, but how important content is on those devices.
Well, if there wasn't content, nobody would want those devices. One thing that I get quoted as saying is that content is the atomic particle of all marketing, which is also going to be the title of my next book, Content, the Atomic Particle. People use media to consume content, and on the content marketing side, but also on the marketing side, period. If there wasn't content, we wouldn't have any creative to put in those boxes and rectangles that are display ads. We wouldn't have videos to put in broadcast ads. We wouldn't have social media messages. Content is really the kernel from whence everything else grows.
Exactly, and we have to think about how it's valuable, who it's valuable to, and the strategy is so important. And year after year after year, the Marketing Profs and Content Marketing Institute report comes out and says people are trying it, they're failing, they have no strategy. And it's yes, we can all easily create
Which
content.
is the same as we tried Facebook, it didn't work. So Facebook doesn't work. We tried email, email doesn't work.
So it's just,
it's committing tactics without strategy.
Exactly. But I think your background, especially in the television and journalism, and, not all text, like audio, video, and all this. Now that devices are becoming so immersive and the internet's actually hitting that super highway that they promised when we got started online.
Well, and the ability to create content has been so democratized. My father and my grandfather were both filmmakers, but this is back in the day when filmmaking was a highly skilled and highly technical pursuit, which obviously, and arguably it still is. Yet we all have the ability to make videos in our purses and pocketbooks, right? It's cheaper, it's easier, it's faster. So content is now accessible to, or a good video is accessible to the plumber as it is to a GE or a Nestle or a Disney.
And we look at like the phenomenons like Netflix and putting out these seasons that people are binging within the first week, and we would have never thought a non-studio would be able to put that out, or not put it out in the theater, put out movies straight to stream and have it be effective. And
as a former TV marketing executive, I haven't had a cable box, or I haven't had real TV on my TV set in 15 years.
Yeah, so now that is leading into you being able to put your content on these networks. And the content marketing movie that they did last year, that was, you could go on Amazon and stream it, you can go on Netflix and stream it, and they're just a good example of you can get your content out, you can get it out into the channels that will reach your audience. You just have to do a good job.
Well, there's a lot of content out there, and so for your content to rise to the top, you need strategy, you need to know your audience, you need a distribution strategy, you need content strategy. You very often need some paid promotion so that people find out and create awareness of the content. Not everything is that lightning in the bottle, super viral video thing.
I just put my domain on Google and everything gets indexed and put on page 1, right? It's like, no. So your
unless there's a cat in it.
Exactly. Yeah, a funny cat video or a donkey making a. But so your talk today or. In a couple days is about contextual content. So, and I love the title because it's websites to wearables to wherever, right? That content is being deployed to our watches, right? I'm getting notifications and it's interacting with me, and I can interact with the data on it and produce different content that's personalized to you.
And hyper-personalized. So just as a little bit of shameless self-promotion, my talk here is going to be based on research I'm publishing during Content Marketing World called Contextual Content. And anybody who really wants to dive into it can download the report from my website, RebeccaLieb.com. No gated anything, no lead gen form, just help yourself.
That's awesome.
So I'm looking at what happens to content when it goes beyond screens. We've always had this mantra in digital marketing, the right message to the right person at the right time, but now we can send it to the right place. And we can also send messages based on conditions. Is it raining? Starbucks might send you an alert for a warming beverage. Is it hot and humid out? You might get an iced tea message. Automotive dealerships are even geofencing now, and they're able to market to consumers based on when they walk in the door. Do they go to the service side or do they go to the sales side? Because you're there for very, very, very different reasons. When you go to Disneyland now or any of the Disney resorts, you get a magic band that you wear on your wrist. It's your ride ticket, but if you're standing in a long, long line for a ride, it might tell you, hey, there's a much shorter line 2 rides over. Maybe you'd rather do that. So they've got crowd control, and the customers have better consumer experience and customer voyages. Disney's also been partnering with Walmart, with theater chains, and with Fandango to target video pre-sales to consumers who are buying Disney product or tickets to Disney movies. This involved the integration of hundreds of different technology backends and systems. Very, very, very expensive build. Disney said they made their money for the integration back in just 3 campaigns.
Wow.
Because they're so hyper-targeted. Or by the same token, a movie theater that hasn't sold out the 3 o'clock show might beam messages to people in the lobby saying, hey, half price to the 3 o'clock show today. So this is kind of a win-win for both consumers and for brands and venues and anybody selling a service or a technology. But there's also listening, which I'm fascinated by. I was talking to Marantz, the high-end audio equipment people, and their speakers now are IoT enabled. So among other things, they know what people name their speakers. So if you've wired not wired your house for sound, you might have a speaker in the bathroom and name it bathroom. Marantz noticed so many of their customers were naming speakers bathroom. They decided to create a waterproof speaker and market it only to those bathroom people. They sent those people emails with a special offer for the new product, and those emails had a 7 to 8% sell rate.
Wow.
Not open rate, which would have been mind-blowing if anybody knows anything about email. But sell rate, they sold out in just a couple of days. And at the same token, Marantz knows what you're listening to. And their head of product there told me that they're actually considering selling some of that data back to the streaming services, Amazon, Pandora, Spotify, because they've got aggregate data on all of those services, and they've got visibility into listening habits that none of those services individually have. So it's interesting how this could also potentially create new revenue streams that organizations previously haven't considered. Or Nestle told me, we can put this stuff in our packaging, and instead of sending trucks of ice cream out to places that have full freezers, only send those trucks out to the places that have empty freezers, which is great for the distribution efficiency and the supply chain. It's also better for the environment.
Today, real time is the only time that counts. To stay relevant, you have to stay ahead. Your customers want the right information, right now, wherever they are. So how do you meet the demands of today's customers? By marketing in context. Context accounts for a customer's interaction with your brand. So each touch builds on the next, creating more meaningful experiences for your customers. At Sitecore, we call this context marketing. To do it well, you need marketing technology that has 3 things: contextual intelligence, content management, and omni-channel automation. Contextual intelligence gives you the information you need about your consumers, so the content you manage is more relevant and is automatically delivered wherever your customers are. The Sitecore Experience platform was built for context marketing, so you can create a more personalized customer experience. Demand more from your marketing technology. Demand more from marketing. Own the experience. Sitecore.
But it requires our organizations to stop being so siloed in the departments and start to look at the customer, the experience together. So
it's not just content, it's customer experience. It's not being creepy, which requires very sensitive messaging. It's developing, of course, a strategy rather than a tactic, and it's involving a lot of different parties. You've got to have IT involved, obviously, mobile, which in many organizations isn't even part of the marketing. The product people, because the internet and all these things are being embedded in products, not in advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
You check into an MGM resort, your phone is your room key, but it also shoots you special offers based on your purchase history if you've got a loyalty number. So you might get a twofer at Cirque du Soleil tonight. It might tell me that there's a special on steak dinners based on what we've done.
Yeah. And it's so amazing because we have all that data, right?
Yeah.
We've been collecting it for years. We know so much about our customers, but we're just not talking. The teams aren't bringing that to our attention. I guess we just don't think it's possible for marketing teams to do this. But the budget is moving in that direction, and these decisions need to be made at the marketing team level.
I loved what Gunjan Bao said. He's the head of all of this at Disney. He's also the guy you referenced, Amazon, before, who was behind the development of the Kindle and Alexa. I always call it Alexa, Amazon Echo.
Yeah.
Because I have one too, so I just say Alexa. And he said, the higher the investment, the higher the ROI. Brands that are doing this would love to do more. Every one of the 20 marketers, very senior marketing executives I interviewed had one recommendation, which is just do it. Start small and scale, but you have to be there. Now, customers are expecting these kinds of experiences from brands now.
And I love what you were talking about with Marantz being able to sell the data back to the providers to have that shared collective, because
just to be clear, they're not doing it yet, but they're considering it, and they could.
Yeah, they could. But it reminds me of eHarmony and the launch that they recently did into the career matching service. So they've got this amazing engine that has proven to work. There's so many successful marriages of people who have met through eHarmony, and they were like, I was interviewing a gentleman. He said, well, somebody did a research and it said, we're the eHarmony of career matching. And they said, why aren't we the eHarmony of career matching? Because the algorithm it works.
Yeah, I'd like eHarmony on the job just as much as I'd like it in my personal
relationship. To imagine to be able to put in a company that you're looking to do an interview with and run it through the profile and say.
But of course, culturally, it's very challenging for companies like Marantz to get in the data business. It's like, what?
Yeah, but sometimes, I think back to Good to Great, right? Sometimes you have to sell the mill to make it happen, to make something new happen. And the thing is, it's all going to be brought together by what you have internally in the team that you have to go after the audience and to really drive that. So that's why I think it's such an amazing
this is the
time.
really cool future-looking stuff, and I'm endlessly fascinated by it that it's happening in my lifetime, right?
Yeah. It's so fun. People they'll be so hard on Pokemon Go because it came and it blew up and it was bigger than Twitter and then it died off and they're like, oh look.
Yeah, but it's already grossed more than several blockbuster feature films.
But
you
just think it's
benchmark.
That technology's that's the first step into something that's going to be amazing. I applaud them for everything they've done, and they're getting ready to do more with augmented and more with other things that I think it's just going to blow our minds
and also seamless omnichannel experiences. So, for example, Home Depot, and I wasn't involved in this, but I have worked with them on digital initiatives. They have a system whereby you can look for products in line, download it all to a shopping cart, and input what your local Home Depot is. When you go to any Home Depot, there's free Wi-Fi. Turn on your phone, and it's going to say that screwdriver is on aisle 3, halfway down on the left. There's 4 of them in stock.
Wow.
3rd shelf from the top. So when you're going into a big warehouse store, that's super helpful information.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the intent of the salesperson, but we don't want to talk to the salesperson, right? We want to find it ourselves, and they delivered it to you. They got you what you want. They made the sale, and you were happy. They were
Maybe
happy.
you do want, sometimes you want to talk to them. Sometimes you just want to grab the screwdriver and get out. And when you're
Exactly.
talking about a store that's 12 acres, that can be a challenge, and they recognize that.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you for your time. Just for closing thoughts, if I am looking at, getting into modern marketing, getting into content marketing, we've done, we're not there yet. We're a team because they're still out there. You think they wouldn't be, but they're still out there. And you've got this vast, atmosphere of the Apple Watch and the iPhone and the iPad and then augmented reality and all this stuff. Where should I begin to
Strategy. Where you should begin is strategy, not picking a channel, any channel, because it's the newest gee whiz thing out there.
So,
Know why you're doing it, what the goal is, who you're doing it for, what the value to the consumer is, not just to you as an organization, and think about those broader strategic goals, and then you can winnow down and say, this is a perfect campaign for an Apple Watch.
Yeah.
Likely it's not.
unless you're Spotify, and then
Unless
it
you're
might be the
Spotify.
perfect one, right? Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Jeff. I really enjoyed it.
There are so many marketing tools to choose from these days. More than 3,500 the last time we checked. If you're overwhelmed and confused, you're not alone. With so many options, marketers are having a difficult time trying to select which tools will meet their team's unique needs. So why do the top content marketing teams choose DVHQ? It's because of our unique focus. Let me explain. The typical content marketing process looks something like this. You start with a defined strategy, then you ideate and brainstorm with your team. Create a plan of attack, produce the content, optimize it, then publish and promote the content, and finally, review the analytics to see how your content performed. As you may know, most marketing software tools are built to support the back half of this process. There are countless CMS platforms, email marketing tools, marketing automation systems, social publishing tools, analytics suites, etc. The list goes on and on. But here's the thing. The back half of the process is not where companies are really struggling. What marketing teams are really struggling with is the upfront part of the process, the strategy, the ideation, planning, workflow, and collaboration during the content production process. Sound familiar? If you don't get your upfront strategy and planning right, the odds of consistently publishing great content is, well, not very good. So these upfront areas are where we focus 100%. We don't want to reinvent wheels or be a jack of all trades, master of none type of content marketing solution. DVHQ is on a mission to build a content marketing platform that makes it incredibly easy for you to plan and produce high quality content more efficiently. This approach then gives you the freedom to integrate and connect DVHQ to your preferred downstream tools. So, if you're looking for help with strategy, ideation, planning, and collaboration, then we're the solution for you.